Imagine a world without words, a world without numbers, a world without records. How did our earliest ancestors pass on knowledge? How did they tell their stories? What drove human beings to create writing and numerals? And what do these first codes reveal about us? Thousands of years ago, our ancestors took the first tentative steps towards creating systems that would transform humanity forever. Writing and numerals didn't magically appear overnight. They emerged from an urgent human need to record, to count, to communicate. Picture this: a prehistoric landscape. No smartphones, no books, no calculators, just curious human minds desperately trying to make sense of their world. How would you track the number of animals in your hunting group? How would you remember the stories of your tribe's greatest hunters? How would you plan for the next harvest? These weren't just simple questions. They were survival challenges that sparked one of the most incredible innovations in human history. Today, we're going to take an extraordinary journey. We'll explore the mind-blowing theories and fascinating evidence surrounding these revolutionary inventions. We'll dive into the mysterious world of ancient symbols, peek into forgotten civilizations, and uncover the incredible human drive that led to writing and numerals. If you love history and want to unravel the mysteries of ancient empires, then this is the video for you. Hit that like button, subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel, and get ready to travel back in time to the very origins of human communication. Are you ready to discover how our ancestors changed the world, one symbol at a time? Long before pencils, smartphones, or printing presses, our ancestors were already burning with an incredible desire to communicate, to record, to remember. Imagine walking into a dark cave in the French countryside of Lascaux. Flickering torchlight reveals extraordinary images on stone walls, vibrant paintings of massive woolly mammoths, dynamic hunting scenes, intricate animal figures dancing across rocky surfaces. These weren't just random drawings. These were the world's first newspapers, historical records, and family albums. And then there's the fascinating Ishango bone. Discovered in the heart of Africa, this small piece of carved animal bone tells a story that will blow your mind. Dating back more than 20,000 years, this bone is covered in mysterious markings, a complex series of notches and lines that some experts believe represent one of humanity's earliest mathematical calculations. Think about that for a moment. 20,000 years ago, when most humans were focused purely on survival, hunting, gathering, avoiding predators, someone was already thinking about counting, about recording, about understanding the world through symbols. These weren't just primitive scribbles. These were the first seeds of human communication, the very beginning of our incredible journey towards writing and numerals. How did a few lines on a bone or a painting on a cave wall transform into the complex writing systems and number theories we have today? How did our ancestors take these first tiny steps that would eventually lead to books, computers, and global communication? Some researchers believe these early markings were more than just records. They were a form of magic, a way to capture the spirit of a hunt, to remember important events, to communicate with the unseen world of spirits and ancestors. Others argue they were purely practical. Earlier counting systems, ways to track the passage of time, count food supplies, or map hunting territories. The truth? We're still uncovering the mysteries. Each new archaeological discovery rewrites our understanding of human communication. What we know for certain is this: the human urge to communicate, to understand, to leave a mark. It's as old as humanity itself. From those first mysterious lines on the Ishango bone to the complex languages we speak today, we've never stopped trying to tell our stories, to count our world, to make sense of our existence. And this is just the beginning of our incredible journey. What if I told you that writing wasn't just an invention, it was a revolution that would reshape human civilization forever? picture the world 3,200 years before Christ. Imagine vast empires emerging in the fertile lands between two mighty rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. This was Mesopotamia, the cradle of one of humanity's most groundbreaking discoveries, the cuneiform writing system. But here's the mind-blowing secret. Writing didn't just appear out of nowhere. It wasn't created by scholars or poets. It was born from something incredibly practical: cold, hard commerce. Merchants needed a way to track trade. How many sheep were sold? How many jars of olive oil exchanged? How many grains of wheat were in storage? These weren't just simple questions. These were the lifelines of entire civilizations. The cuneiform wasn't some elegant artistic script. It started as a series of wedge-shaped marks pressed into soft clay tablets using reed styluses. Imagine ancient accountants, not with computers or ledgers, but with clay and a pointy stick, meticulously recording every single transaction. But here's where it gets fascinating. These simple record-keeping marks didn't stay boring for long. Soon, cuneiform evolved. It wasn't just about counting anymore. Suddenly people were writing epic stories, recording laws, composing poetry, documenting the rise and fall of kings. An entire world of human experience began to be captured in these intricate symbols. Why did this happen in Mesopotamia? The answer is complexity. These were the first true empires, massive, intricate societies that needed sophisticated ways to manage resources, collect taxes, and maintain order. Think about that for a moment. The very first writing wasn't about art or self-expression. It was about survival, about managing incredibly complex human systems, from tracking a few sheep to recording entire histories. Writing transformed human potential. We went from simple memory to collective memory, from individual knowledge to shared knowledge. This wasn't just an invention. This was humanity's first step towards truly understanding ourselves. Our first attempt to make our experiences permanent, to say, we were here. This is our story. And it all started with a few marks on a clay tablet in the heart of an ancient empire. Numbers. They're everywhere. But how did we humans first learn to count? How did we move from counting on our fingers to predicting celestial events? Let me introduce you to the Ishango bone, a small piece of carved animal bone that's about to blow your mind. Over 20,000 years old, this tiny artifact is like a mathematical time machine. Covered in intricate markings, it suggests that our ancestors were doing complex calculations long before we imagined possible. Imagine a prehistoric hunter, not just tracking animals, but tracking time, counting, calculating. The Ishango bone isn't just a random collection of marks. Some experts believe it's one of the world's earliest mathematical tools. But the real numerical revolution, that happened in two of the most remarkable civilizations of the ancient world, Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt. These weren't just simple counting systems. Oh no. These were sophisticated mathematical machines that could measure land, calculate taxes, and predict astronomical events. Imagine priests and scribes using numbers to understand the movements of stars, to plan harvests, to build incredible monuments. In ancient Egypt, mathematics was almost magical. Architects used complex geometric principles to build the pyramids. Priests used numerical systems to track the flooding of the Nile, a matter of life and death in an agricultural society. These weren't just numbers. These were the first steps towards understanding the universe itself. From counting sheep to calculating the movements of planets, humans were becoming masters of measurement. Hold up. Did you know the Ishango bone might be one of the earliest pieces of mathematical evidence in human history? Mind-blowing, right? If you're loving this journey through human innovation, do me a favor. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to The Dawn of Humankind for more incredible stories that will change how you see history. And here's a challenge for you. Drop a comment below. What do you think was more important for human development, writing or numerals? We want to hear your thoughts. Numbers, writing. These weren't just tools, they were the software that upgraded human potential. The first programs that allowed us to understand, predict, and ultimately transform our world. What will we count next? Here's a secret the history books don't tell you. We don't actually know everything about how writing and numbers were born, and that's where things get really exciting. Picture a room full of world-renowned archaeologists and historians. They're not sitting quietly. They're arguing, passionately debating the most fundamental questions about human communication. Was writing an art form, or was it purely practical? Some experts argue that the first symbols were creative expressions, almost like prehistoric poetry etched in stone. Others insist it was all about cold, hard business, tracking trades, counting sheep, managing early empires, and numerals. Get ready for a mind-blowing theory. Not everyone believes numbers first came from counting objects. Some researchers argue that our earliest numerical systems were born from something far more poetic, the observation of lunar cycles. Imagine our ancestors looking up at the night sky, tracking the moon's journey, noticing its patterns, measuring time not with calculators, but with the rhythms of the cosmos. These aren't just academic debates. These are profound questions about how humans first made sense of their world, how we first tried to understand complexity, to capture meaning. The most fascinating part? We're still uncovering the mysteries. Every archaeological dig, every newly discovered artifact has the potential to rewrite our understanding of human communication. Writing and numbers aren't just systems, they're windows into the human soul, glimpses of how our ancestors thought, how they dreamed, how they understood their place in the universe. Some mysteries are beautiful precisely because they remain unsolved. Which theory resonates with you? The practical accountant tracking sheep? The artistic soul creating symbolic language? The astronomer reading stories in lunar cycles? The debate continues, and we're all invited to join. What if I told you that the world's first written records weren't about mighty kings, epic battles, or divine legends? What if they were about something much more delicious? Beer. That's right, beer. In the heart of Mesopotamia, thousands of years ago, our ancestors weren't just brewing beer, they were documenting it meticulously, with the same care we might use to write a scientific paper today. Imagine clay tablets, not recording royal decrees or religious texts, but preserving beer recipes and distribution logs. These weren't just casual notes. These were official records carved into clay with incredible precision. And here's the mind-blowing part. More than 5,000 years later, we can still read these tablets. The same clay that recorded a brewery's inventory is still telling its story. Millennia have passed, empires have risen and fallen, and yet these beer records survive. Think about that for a moment. Our ancestors, living in the cradle of civilization, were essentially doing what we do today, tracking inventory, documenting recipes, arguing about the best brewing techniques. It's a powerful reminder that humans haven't changed as much as we think. Behind the grand narratives of history, behind the epic stories of civilizations, there are always very human moments, very relatable moments. People have always loved good beer. People have always loved keeping track of things. Some things never change. These clay tablets aren't just historical artifacts. They're time machines, windows into the everyday lives of people who lived thousands of years before us. People who, just like us, appreciated a good brew and wanted to make sure they got the recipe just right. History isn't just about great leaders and massive events. Sometimes it's about a simple clay tablet. Sometimes it's about beer. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a world without writing, without numbers, no books, no science, no internet. No way to share knowledge beyond what one person can remember, those tiny marks on clay tablets. Those first mathematical calculations on ancient bones, they weren't just marks, they were the seeds of everything we know today. Writing and numerals are more than just communication tools. They are the ultimate human superpowers, the ability to capture a thought, to preserve a moment, to calculate the impossible, to reach across time and space. Think about it. The smartphone in your pocket? It's a direct descendant of the Ishango bone. The scientific paper explaining quantum physics? A complex cousin of those first cuneiform tablets? The complex algorithms running the internet? They're the grandchildren of those first lunar calculations. But here's the most incredible part. These systems aren't finished. They're not museum pieces. They're living, breathing technologies that are constantly evolving. We've gone from clay tablets to digital screens, from counting on fingers to quantum computers, from local stories to global networks that connect billions of people instantaneously. What will writing look like in 50 years? In 100 years? Will we communicate through thoughts, through neural networks? Will numbers transcend our current understanding of mathematics? The truth is, we can't even imagine the next revolution, just like our ancestors couldn't have imagined the internet when they first carved those primitive symbols. Writing and numerals are humanity's most powerful inheritance. They're not just about recording the past, they're about imagining the future. Every symbol is a bridge, every number is a possibility. And the most exciting chapter? It's still being written. What story will you add to this incredible human journey? Writing and numerals. They're so much more than just technical inventions. They are the heartbeat of human creativity, the purest expression of our deepest desire to understand, to connect, to leave a mark on the universe. Think about those first cave paintings, those mysterious marks on ancient bones. They weren't just records. They were screams of existence. We were here, they whispered across thousands of years. We lived, we felt, we wondered. From the earliest hunter tracking lunar cycles to the modern scientist exploring quantum mechanics, we've never stopped trying to make sense of our world. To transform the invisible into the visible, the unimaginable into the understood. Every symbol is a bridge, every number is a story, every mark is a connection between what we know and what we dream. What do these first codes reveal about us? They show our incredible hunger to understand, our relentless curiosity, our ability to transform abstract thought into concrete communication. We are not just survivors, we are storytellers, we are interpreters of the universe. Love this journey through human innovation? Then do something about it. Hit that like button. Share this video with every curious soul you know. Subscribe to The Dawn of Humankind and join our tribe of history explorers. But most importantly, keep wondering, keep questioning, keep exploring, because the most incredible stories are still waiting to be written. What story will you tell?